In an exclusive conversation with WION on the Ukraine war, we earlier spoke to the Estonian Foreign Minister Eva-Maria Liimets, who says that it is very important that China and other countries pressure Russia to end the war in Ukraine. She also hopes that the international community would come together and stop Russia from using chemical weapons.
Joining us this minute for a very special conversation is Eva-Maria Liimets, Estonia's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Thanks very much for being here with us. Welcome to WION.
Thank you for having me.
Estonia is calling for NATO to build a permanent force in Eastern Europe to deter Russia, a force that is capable of stopping a Russian offensive. Would you say that the NATO support at this point is inadequate?
Estonia is a member of NATO since 2004, and as we have seen over the last few months, the security situation in Europe has changed a lot. And this is one of the reasons why we believe that it is important to strengthen the defense posture of NATO and have more troops in Estonia than we have had so far. And I truly hope that at today's NATO high-level meeting in Brussels, our leaders also will support this approach.
To what extent are you satisfied with the NATO support as of now?
As of now, in Estonia, we have quite many allied forces. The leading country for Estonia here is the United Kingdom. In addition, we have also French and Danish troops who are supporting Estonian defense forces. And we have very good cooperation with all the allies. And since the war started by Russia in Ukraine, we have our allies have doubled their presence in Estonia and in our whole eastern flank. So we believe that at the moment everything is in very good shape, but at the same time we would like to have more permanent decisions to our region.
So how concerned is Estonia at this point, given how the security environment has changed following Russia's invasion of Ukraine?
In Estonia, we of course follow with great concern these developments because Russia is our neighboring country, and also Russia's invasion, which is unfolding in front of our eyes while we are speaking, has caused a lot of civilian damages, civilian casualties, and as of today we see already more than 3.5 million who have fled the country, and thousands of them also have reached Estonia. It means that in our society, people really see how badly this Russia's invasion has impacted the security situation in our region. Therefore, it is very important that NATO continues to strengthen its defense posture. And at the moment, at the same time, we don't see direct military threat to Estonia. But as we said in the beginning, the security situation is changed in Europe, and therefore we also need to think more how to defend our society and country.
Are you worried that the Russian aggression will spill beyond Ukraine, that Vladimir Putin will not stop at Ukraine?
We truly hope, first, of course, that this unjustified and unprovoked war started by Russia will end as soon as possible, so that we will not see any more civilian casualties, and also that Ukraine could restore its territorial integrity. And here in Estonia, we don't see that there is a direct military threat to any of NATO countries. But as I said, as we have seen that Russia has a very aggressive approach towards its neighbors, towards democratic countries in their neighborhood, we of course are a bit worried that we need to have a stronger defense posture so that we don't give any reasoning for any miscalculations.
Right. There are around 320,000 ethnic Russians in Estonia. Would you be able to tell us what the sentiment is like within that community regarding Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and why your government felt the need to pledge further support for the Russian-speaking Northeast region after the Russia-Ukraine war started?
In Estonia, we have a relatively big Russian-speaking community, and among this Russian-speaking community, we have also Belarus people, Ukrainian people, so it's not just a homogeneous group of minorities. And since 1991, when Estonia regained its independence from the Soviet Union, we have, of course, started also integration programs for those people, because all the people living in Estonia, they are welcome to our society. And quite speaking, politicians are also in Estonian parliament, so they are part of our politics. And also our parliament adopted recently a resolution to support Ukraine in these very difficult circumstances, and also Russian-speaking members of the parliament were supporting this resolution. So it shows that this community is well integrated, and of course there are different views among these people, but the majority of them support Estonian views on this issue.
All right, let's talk about what's happening on the ground in Ukraine. How do you assess the pace of the Russian offensive? Would you say that Moscow underestimated Ukrainian resistance?
What we have seen on the ground is really that Ukrainians strongly believe to the integrity and territorial integrity of their country. They believe that their country should continue democratic path, Euro integration, etc., and they are really defending for their country. And it does not mean which language they are speaking, whether they are Russian-speaking Ukrainians or Ukrainian-speaking Ukrainians. They are jointly together defending their country, and really we see very strong resistance against the Russia's invasion at the moment. And unfortunately also, of course, we see that Russia continues its aggression, continues bombing, shelling of civilian infrastructure, and it also shows to us that this war is going to continue unless there is diplomatic solution found, but unfortunately at the moment we don't have good signs for that.
According to you, did the West underestimate Russia?
Here, of course, we must go back to the history, because let me recall that this Russia's aggression against its democratic neighbors started already in 2008, when there was a Russia-Georgia war. Then in 2014, Russia occupied part of the Ukrainian territories, and then there was Crimea annexation. It shows that already by that time, the Western community or like-minded countries should have been more outspoken with regard to these aggressions and the violations of the international law and the United Nations Charter. And of course, now we see these consequences, and at the moment, it's very important to stand firm against this aggression. And here also the European countries, together with very many like-minded countries, for example, have put forward sanctions to pressure Russia to stop this aggression. And it is very important that the international community continues to show Russia that this kind of invasion is not acceptable.
And talking about those sanctions, they haven't deterred Russia so far. How do you assess their impact?
Quite many countries put forward the sanctions already during the first days of this unjustified war. And of course, we continue with the sanctions as long as it is needed. And the main aim is to really pressure Russia to stop this war.
How do you react to Moscow's apprehensions that the decision of the Baltic states to join the NATO is equal to betrayal?
Here I would like to recall the main principles of the European security architecture, and it says that every country in Europe, every sovereign country in Europe has the right to choose its own security policy, its own and also security alliances. Therefore, it was really the decision of our own which kind of alliances or security guarantees we would like for our countries. And Estonia has chosen the path of democracy, and as NATO is an alliance which really protects democracies, protects our values, of course, it is very natural for us to be part of this alliance.
Beijing has now just a short while back accused the NATO chief of spreading disinformation with claims that China has backed Russia's war against Ukraine. This comes amid growing international pressure to distance itself from Moscow. What do you make of this latest statement coming in from Beijing?
China is a very important player in the international community, of course, and also China is a member of the United Nations Security Council. Therefore, China plays a very important role in keeping peace and security around the globe. And therefore, from our perspective, it is very important that China and also all other countries would really help us to end this war in Ukraine, and also pressure Russia to end this war in Ukraine.
What do you make of Russia's warnings on the use of nuclear weapons? How real is that threat, according to you?
It is really difficult to predict how this war in Ukraine continues, but I personally truly hope that Russia stops the violation of international law, UN Charter, and also all other agreements related to peace and security, including the chemical weapons, use of chemical weapons against civilians. Here, of course, I truly hope that the international community comes together and helps to avoid another massacre where chemical weapons are used.
Women in Estonia are coming forward in large numbers to join the Women's Voluntary Defense Organization. That group has seen a rise in popularity since the Russian invasion of Ukraine started. Can you tell us more about this?
In Estonia, we have our defense forces, and defense forces are open for men and women. Also, we have Voluntary Defense League, which is also open for men and women. And at the moment in Estonia, we really feel a lot of patriotic feelings, because we would like to defend our country. We would like to be more supportive for Ukrainians. And therefore, yes, many people join also Defense League. And also I would like to emphasize here that Estonian people have come together to provide also humanitarian aid for Ukrainians. We have gathered more than 9 million euros from our civil society for helping Ukraine in this difficult situation. It really shows that people are very much worried what's going on in our region, and also very much supportive towards Ukraine.
What would your message be to the Russian and the Ukrainian presidents at this point?
My message for the Ukrainian president would be that we are here together with you. We continue to support your country politically, also towards your aspiration towards the European Union. Also, we continue to support your country economically. We continue to support your people, and we truly hope that your country that the war will be ended and your country can restore its territorial integrity within the internationally recognized borders. And to the Russian president, I would ask him to end this unjustified and unprovoked war.
Eva-Maria Liimets, thank you very much for joining us and sharing those perspectives. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.